want to just do it, you know? Get moving. Hey guys, today we're going to do page 7, and I'm going to warn you in advance there's probably a lot of noise going on in the background. The dogs have been having a little playtime, and it's trash day, so there's trash gathering downstairs and just stuff going on. So anyway, that's life, right? So let's get started. I want to work on this card today, and it has a little note inside that you can put inside. And it's like natural paper, so I want to work on that, and I'm still stuck on fabric. Once you get me in the fabric, it's hard to get me out. So we're going to play in fabric again today. So the first thing I want to do, I gathered some strips of fabric. I have a box of fabric that I keep remnants and strips of scraps and things like that. When I'm working on a project, I just keep things like this. I pulled out what inspired me today. And what I want to do is take this little piece of paper out, and this is going to be my base, my little, I guess, pattern. But I want to take these strips of fabric, and I'm going to cut them down to a smaller size. And I'm going to lay them all out on my paper here in different ways. And I haven't decided if I'm going to cut the strips down more narrow. I think I'm going to leave them just like they are because I really like them. And I'm going to lightly tack them down with a little bit of glue stick. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to run them through my machine or not when I'm done. I can't decide that part. I may just leave it like this, but I'm just going to keep layering until my paper is covered. And so what I need to do first is just cut some smaller strips because I want to cover the entire paper. This is my gunky scissors, not my fabric scissors, but that's okay. This is just scraps. So I'm not going to glue them down until I'm kind of sure where I'm going to place them, but right now I'm just going to cut my little strips. And I'm cutting them a little longer than the paper so that I can make sure and overlap everything that needs overlapping, and then I can trim it up later. And some of them are really rather large. This one here, I think I'll go ahead and cut it down a little bit. I don't know if I can rip it this way though. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Alright, I love this piece of fabric here. It's definitely got to show. Sometimes things get covered, but this one has to show because it's so pretty. And then I've got a little red one here. Some of this was my mom's, already stripped up into strips because she liked to quilt. I think this one and this one and this one and this one. And I got a bunch of her strips when she passed away, and I went through her stuff and I just kept them. So now I'm using them. I really love this fabric, so I think I'm going to use it twice. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and stick down my fabric pieces. And they're not going to go down the same way that I just did them, but that's okay. We're just going to start. I added one more little piece of trim. I added this little piece on. So I think I am going to take this over to my machine. I'm just going to run some little marks on here just to hold everything down, and then I'll be right back. So if you want to hand stitch this, you can, or if you want to glue it down really well so it doesn't move, you can. And if you want a machine stitch, you can. I'm just going to go ahead and do some machine stitching. Okay, I've got my pieces stitched on. I just went around in a bunch of circles and then I trimmed off the excess. So now that's what I've got. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is, if you remember yesterday, we made a template for this little project right here. And I have the little paper sitting here that we used, and I want to use it again today. I'm going to trace out my little heart on the back here, and then I'm going to cut it out. So I just need something that I can see. And I'm going to use this template twice, and one of them needs to be a little smaller than the other. This one needs to be the size of the template, and the next one I do is going to have to be a little smaller, I think. We'll start with this one first. I'm just going to cut on my lines here, and when I'm done with that, I'll be back. Okay, there's my negative space, which you can use for something later, and here's my little heart, and I think it's just so cute. I love it. The next thing I want to do is take my card here, put that to the side for a minute, and I'm going to use the same template here. I'm going to open my card, and I'm going to trace my little template inside the card here on the front section. And the reason I'm doing it on the inside is because I'm going to trace it and then I'm going to cut with an X-Acto knife, not on the line that I traced, but a little further in. So I'm going to make the heart smaller. So the lines are still going to show. And because the lines are going to show, I don't want to have to erase, so I'm not going to do it on the outside. I'm going to do it on the inside, and that way they won't be seen, because the way I want to do this, it won't matter. You know what? I might use this as my template. Yeah, we'll use this. That'll make it easier. That way you can see about where you want it. So just trace your heart again on the inside of your card, but this time, and I'll remind you in a second, you're going to cut it out a little smaller. Okay, my heart is traced, and I want to preserve this inner heart here because I'll probably use it in this project again, later on. So I don't want to just dive in with my scissors and cut around. And besides, it's kind of hard to cut in here. So I'm going to take a self-healing mat and my X-Acto knife, which I really don't love doing this, but sometimes you got to take one for the team, right? So I'm going to cut out my heart, but I'm not going to trace my X-Acto knife on the line. I'm not going to go directly on the line because I want this window to be a little bit smaller so that this fits properly, okay? And you'll see in a minute. So I would go out from my line just a little bit, and if you wanted to make it easier on yourself, go ahead and trace another heart following your line as about the size you want it, and then cut out with the X-Acto knife on that line. You want to leave this line alone, okay? All right, so I'm going to do that off camera and then I'll be back. All right, I have finished cutting out my heart. I left my original trace line alone and I went in just a little bit to make my heart shape smaller than the actual template. And I have this little piece here to work with later on, so I'll put that over there in the little pile. And now let's test and see if our heart is going to fit. Let me get rid of this stuff. All right, let's see if our heart will fit now. Put it back on the area that you traced. Ah, that's beautiful. I love it. All right, so I want to glue this in here, but before I do, I need to decide if there's anything I want to do that's going to require me to use this in such a way that this will be in the way. I think I do want to distress the edges of this, and I'm going to use the walnut stain distress ink, and I'm just going to go around the edges just lightly. And I'll probably go around the heart too, right around here. So I'm going to do that and then I'll be back. I pulled out a few things from the stuff I gathered for this project that I am tempted to use with this, but I don't know for sure. It's just sitting over here. That's what you see in the side of the camera. But what I want to do now is go ahead and glue my heart down. Might as well commit to it because I don't want to keep fiddling around trying to figure out what to do. I want to just do it, you know? Get moving. So let me glue this down, and it's going to be I'm going to be using Aleene's Tacky Glue. It's a wet glue, and I'm just going to go right around the edge inside where my little marks are. And then put my heart down on my lines where I traced, and adjust where needed. I'll check the other side before I let it actually sit. Make sure that everything's kosher. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to set something heavy on here to let it dry because it's a wet glue on fabric and paper, and it's bumpy paper, and it's not real connected, so I want it pressed down in there. So I'm going to hold it down for a little while, and then I'll be back when that's dry and we can go on. Okay, before we get too much farther along, I want to make the holes at the side of my little card here so that I can put it in my book with the rest of the pages. I've gone ahead and marked where the holes should go, and I'm just going to punch and lose a few more punches around the room somewhere. I found one yesterday, didn't find the other one. Okay, so that's done. I found both. Yay! Alrighty, so now I have holes there. Okay, I don't know, something about this. I really want to put this here, but I really don't want to cover this. Alrighty, I decided I just can't cover this up. I did look for a brad that I could stick here, that I could allow this to swivel, but I didn't like anything with it, so we're going to forego putting this here. I took a picture of it this way, and I really like seeing my heart, so I'm not going to cover it. What I did do was I took the piece of scrap that we've been using through this project, and I grabbed 2 more pieces of scrap made out of these prints, and I took a punch that's a label punch, and I made 3 labels. If you don't have a punch, just cut out a shape that you like for a label. You can even cut a circle and fold it in half and use that. And I'm going to open my little card here. I'm going to put 1 label at the top, and I'm going to put 1 label at the bottom, and then I'm going to center the last label in the center. And we're just going to kind of make a faux folder looking thing, like some folders are in there. I'm going to glue these down. Okay, I like the way that looks. I'm going to let this dry for a second, and then we'll continue. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to audition these 3 little tags that I have. And if you don't have stuff like this, just make your own tags, cut out some little shapes that you like, and then decorate them, and you can use those. I'm going to take a piece of jute, and I'm going to take the plies apart. There's 3 plies here, and I don't want it this thick going through the hole, so I'm just going to unravel it. And then I'm going to put a piece of jute at the top of each hole. And I'm going to stick them in here and see if I like them poking out at the top. I kind of do. I kind of like that. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my card together, and I'm going to glue this side down. I was going to leave this side open and let it be a tuck spot there, but I decided not to. I'm going to glue this side. Oh, and I did distress around my little tabs here with my walnut stain, this stuff here that I always use. Okay, and the punch, in case someone wants to know, it's by McGill. It's just called File Tab 3-inch punch. Okay, so I'm going to glue the side of my card down here and down here. But because these are going to disappear down into the card, I'm going to glue far enough up so that it's sealed here, and my pocket only goes so far, so these won't get lost down in there. So I'll probably glue it about right there. Okay, so I'm going to open this up, put glue all through here and then down the side. And close that and let that dry for a second. I've got one more thing I want to try before we put our tags in. I've got these little lips stickers and my words, and I want to use the word inspire because that is my goal. I'm not trying to tell you how to do everything. I just want to inspire you to try, and maybe if you learn something new, great. But I want to put inspire right inside of the lip. So I'm going to pull off the light color pink and put this down on the front page, and hopefully I'll like it. Okay, I really like it. And it reminds me of my mom, like I told y'all in the beginning of the series. These lips always reminded me of my mom, and I used a lot of her fabrics in here, so I don't know, kind of suits. All right, so I think I glued my pocket closed too tall, so I think when I put this in, it's going to stick out too far for my taste. Yeah, kind of too tall. So I'm going to fix that real quick by taking these off at the bottom, the little stubs. I'm going to cut those off. So I cut my little ticket stubs off, and I can use those in something else, and I stuck these down in here, and I like the way that looks, so we're going to go with that. And now we have another little heart we can use that came off of our front page here, and we made good use of our template again, so this is used several times already. All right, I hope you will give this a try and just improvise anything that you don't have, anything that you don't see that you can do that I did. Just improvise, make up your own way. That's the whole point. Inspiration. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later, and I will see you in the next video, which will be page number 8. Bye-bye.